Hello guys, this is allrover, and in this lecture we will be seeing how we can fetch the elements of an array. Means fetch the elements from the HTML page. So in the HTML page we have various elements like body element, HTML element, h1 element, and p tag, p element. So how we can access in any variable and change it using document object model by using its properties of various things like color, type, text written, how the text would be written, size, and all these things we can control using the document object model. So this is the HTML page that we have, and the output will be output of this code will be this. We have the HTML and the CSS as well. I will be showing you the CSS, but see the HTML page. It is this HTML page is linked to the style.css, and first one is the heading having ID 1, and second is heading 2 having ID 2, and the class is there, paragraph having the class para, sample paragraph. So this is the HTML page, and in the CSS just a simple line is there. The heading one whose ID is 1 and its color is set to green. This is the what you call the HTML, and the CSS part is there. Now for fetching the elements we have certain methods. There are certain ways of fetching the element. First one is the get fetching the element by its ID. So how we can fetch any element of the HTML page using ID, I will be showing you first. Next is the getting element by tag name, next, and then getting element by class name, and then getting element by CSS selector. So in total there are 4 ways, or there can be more other ways, but we will be using this 4 ways in which you can select uh, any element of the what we call the HTML page and manipulate its properties using the DOM, that is the document object model. So first we will see what in the document is. This is the function document, and if I want to access the fetch the elements by ID, first we will be seeing the fetching the elements by ID. Then we have to use document dot and then get element by ID and then the ID name. This is the method, document dot get element by ID and then ID name. So this will give you the what you call the required element having the h1 ID is 1, and this is the content. If you want to assign it to any variable, then you can do that. Suppose the variable name is heading, and you have access the element and assign it this to the heading, then now heading is containing that element, and using this variable you can manipulate its properties of uh, that element. You have got the element in variable, and when you will manipulate this variable, that a whole element is going to be manipulated. Like you want to manipulate its color. Now in present it is green in color, but if you want to change it to red, then you can use heading dot style, and inside style we have the color object. So object, another object, inside the style object we have the color object, and inside the heading tag that we have used we have the style and color. The nested object is there, is set to red. Then you can see that the output screen is heading 1 is changed to red. Now if you want to add the background color, then inside the style object we have the background color property. Inside the style object, there are many properties. I will be showing you the all properties, how you can see the what all properties are available to you. Now if you have run this, if you will run this code, then heading dot style dot background to cyan, then the background color is changed to cyan. Now what are the objects that are inside the style objects? So for that you use heading dot style. This will give you the whole color. This is the style, what we call a heading style. What is the style of heading that is showing you, but you want the what all objects or the properties inside the style object, then you can print. First I am clearing this console window. So you can check style. It is under which property? Document property, no? Document dot style. How you will be getting what all style you have? You can see it using, wait, I'm showing you. Suppose you want to change the style of heading dot style dot. Now you see, when you have clicked press dot heading dot style dot, then you will be getting lots of property inside the heading, inside the style object, what all things you want to change. So inside this you might have color option also, so you can click on color, heading dot style dot color, and if you want to change it, then you can change by equal to whatever you want. And if you want to check it only, then you can see that currently the color is red. So this is the method of seeing what all properties you have inside the object, and presently any object or any element is holding which property. This is the method of accessing any element by its id. Now by tag name, you can even access it using tag name. Second method, it is document dot get element by tag name is going to give you the, and the tag name that element, that corresponding element. Now it is a fair chances that there will be many tags like h1 tag. There will be more than one h1 tags, so it will return an array of elements. So heading is basically an array of elements. If you want to see what the heading is containing presently, you can check it using headings. You can see that we have h1 as 1 and h1 2, h1 1 and h1 2. These are the total two collections are there. You can see two written is there. So total two elements, two collections have come inside this tag name h1. Now if you want to access the second h1, this is the first h1, this is the first h1 and this is the second h1. Now headings is now an array. So if you want to access this heading 2, then you have to use headings 1. Suppose this is an array, then you can use headings 1. So you can access headings 1 and you want to change it text to any other text. In Currently it is written heading 2, but you want to write to be written a second heading, then you can use this inner text object of the heading 1, inner text object of the heading 1. If I run, then you can see that its heading name is changed to second heading. This was the second method of accessing any element for manipulating the property using DOM. Now using the class name also you can access any element. You have to use document dot get element by class name and the corresponding class name. Now what the para is containing, para will be containing the para what we call the para class, that is p dot para. Now if you want, there can be many elements that will be using that class para. So this will also return the uh, array of elements like we have used using the tag name. It will also return in tag name also, it was returning the array of tags, and by the class name also you will be returning the, you will be getting the array of classes. So if para 0, only one para is there. So if you want to change its background color to cyan, then you can even do that. You can see that the background color is changed to cyan, and I have already shown you how you can check whether how what are the properties that are available, or you can check what all properties or what is the current property of any element. So if you want to check the heading, heading was what, heading which heading was the first heading na. So heading was the, you can see heading was the first heading. We have accessed the heading variable using the first heading was that. If you want to check its property, then you can see heading dot style color, accent color, align self. So it will give you the all the styles of the heading. Now you can even use the css selector. Css selector are the hash and dot. Using the hash and dot also you can access any element. For that you have to use dot query selector. Now you can see inside the heading what all things you have got. Hash one we have used. Hash one was the heading one. This is also going to what the heading is containing. Heading is containing this h1 heading, having style this present at present. And if you want to change its inner text, then you can use heading dot inner text to hey. You can see the inner text has been changed. You can even use the para using dot css selector dot for class name. You can use for selecting dot para. You can see one thing, then that when we have used document dot query selector has one, then it was returning you in the heading we are getting this. I want to change some code here in the HTML part. I want to change some code. What if I write what if I write heading id equal to 1 only, and this I am writing it to heading 1 2. Inside the heading 1 we have 2 and this is 2. Now opening it in browser. Now if I use the query selector as earlier, then what I am getting it, you will see one thing. Now if I use the query selector has one, and what inside the heading we have got, you can see inside the heading we have got only h1 heading, not the h only the heading 1, not the heading 1 2. The reason is the query selector will return you that element only, the first matching of that id. Using the css selector, if you are using, then you will use query selector tag, query selector keyword, document dot query selector object, and this will return you only the first matching selector of this element. So this is returning only the heading 1, not the heading 1 2. Although both have the same, you can see both have the same id, but it is not returning heading 1 2. If you want to get all the you select all the what you call elements having that id, then you can use document dot query selector all. This is you can use this one, query selector all. If you will write, and it is going to select. Now head check heading, it is going to select all the selectors having that has one, that is, you can see two elements are there. Now two elements are there. So this is about the using the what you call has one, that is if of the class. It was not the class name, it was the id, css selector id selector. Now the class selector, that is the dot selector, you can also use dot para document dot query selector dot para you have to use. Then you can see that para, what the para is holding now. Para is holding only one element. At present we have only one element. Let's make it to two element. Suppose we have two element having the same class, and this is the sample paragraph 1 and this is sample paragraph 2, right? Now refresh the page. This is sample paragraph 1 and sample paragraph 2. And if you use the query selector, only the query selector, not the query selector all, then you will see, and inside the para, if you will see, only we have one element, that is the p para sample paragraph 1. But what if you want to select all the elements having that what you call that css selector, then you have to use query selector all. And now if you will see you have two elements, and if you want to access any one element, then you can use para 0, then it is going to return you the first element, that is the paragraph 1. So this is about the accessing the elements of an HTML page using the dot notations, and there are many ways. First one using the id, second was using the tag name, third was using the css selectors, and you can even use text. Text was also one of the method. There are many methods, but we will be using some of the methods. We have seen the tag name, and we have seen the class name, and then the css selector. So in total we have learned the 4 ways in which you can access the elements of the web pages or the HTML code, and you can change its properties like the color, inner text, using that. So this is about the accessing elements of an HTML page. So thank you so much for watching, and keep following the next lectures. Thank you very much.